This is totally inspired by Bill Simmons. So Bill Simmons, Boston sports guy, he is the equivalent of us, but for sports. He's got a book called the Book of Basketball, and he has a lot of these kind of what if scenarios. So like, what if this team didn't draft this person? What if this trade never happened? And I always love that stuff. So as a equivalent music nerd, I geek out about this same stuff. So both of us, or all three of us, came up with a few of these, and we didn't tell each other. There's one of them we did tell each other that we're going to do, but all these that each of us are going to tell, the other two have no idea what's coming. So this is totally going to be freestyle.
I can lead off. I got one.
Okay,
so
cool.
What you guys know? Kid Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, are we sticking with the Detroit rap?
I was gonna say, what if Joe C never died? But that's I'm not gonna go there. I actually was gonna go with a death, because this obviously a lot of what ifs surround a lot of deaths in the music industry, unfortunately. But what if Brad Nowell never died?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Sublime. So he overdosed on heroin. He had been an addict, had kind of gone in and out of, doing heroin, being in that scene. Had his son and got clean, but relapsed 2 months before the self-titled Sublime album came out in '96.
Wow.
It was late May of '96. Found relapse on heroin overdose. So they had put 3 albums out with Brad as the lead singer. The first one, big one, 40 Ounce to Freedom, which we all are aware of. I would imagine people know Smoke Two Joints, they know Bad Fish, they know Day Rape. Those are the big songs off of that. Bad Fish has morphed into a cover band of Sublime songs now. They regularly tour and just play Sublime songs as a cover band, which is, named after that song. And then Robin in the Hood, which I never listened to. I don't know if you guys did. I'll throw that to you.
Not really. No.
Is that what is Seeing Red on that, or is that?
No, that's Unwritten Law.
No, sorry, not Seeing Red. What's the one with Gwen Stefani?
That is on there. Yes.
Okay.
In my notes, I forget the name of the song, but she did. She was on that album before kind of No Doubt took off, right around when No Doubt was taking off. So,
yep.
That came out in '94. But I mean, if you look at the track list of that, I couldn't recognize really much as far as that went compared to 40 Ounces to Freedom. And then he ODs, and 2 months later, their biggest album drops, and it was massive. I mean, the self-titled album was massive. You had Wrong Way, you had Santeria, you had What I Got, you had Doing Time, and then even the songs that weren't singles, you had April 29th, 1992, Caress Me Down,
Classics.
Seed, Pawn Shop, like just the
Untouchable.
whole album.
Yeah, untouchable album.
So good.
So they were about to absolutely, I mean, they did blow up, but they were about to absolutely take off. Like that was their, jumping off point, and their lead singer ODs. So imagine what would have happened had he stuck around, had he not OD'd and they were to continue to become. He was clean when they were probably writing a lot of that record, and it was their best record.
Yeah.
What was the album Secondhand Smoke? Like where does that fit into?
I couldn't find that one. Was that like a
compilation or something? I can't.
It must have been, yeah. They had another one too that came out before 40 Ounces to Freedom, but it was just like a tape that was some demos kind of what they would have on later albums. So Proper, those were the two that came out before, and then Self-Titled came out right after he OD'd.
Wow. That's insane. Yeah, because they were tiny. They were like opening for I think we mentioned 311. They were like opening for bands like 311, like tiny. And now they're obviously even bigger than 311 in terms of record sales, I'm sure, fan base probably, even though 311's pretty big.
But they were about to take off. I mean, those singles from that album were absolutely iconic. Everybody knows What I Got. Everybody knows Doing Time. Everybody knows Santeria.
Yeah.
Those are massive songs. Those permeated the culture. Those weren't just punk ska band hits. They were hits on mainstream radio. They were everywhere. So.
Wow.
So I get two comments come to mind. One is the band had to have felt obviously sad, and that goes without saying, but they obviously felt hamstrung because they continued to play. Like they continued to play in together in different capacities. But it also got me thinking of, so they have this album that's popping, and their creativity to promote it is obviously hamstrung. But it got me thinking. You remember Return of the Mack, Mark Morrison?
Yes.
There was some factoid about him, and this is kind of adjacent, but I'll bring it back. There was a factoid about him that he was like the first person in the history of music to have a #1 while being locked up.
Yeah, he's in jail.
He's in jail. Yeah, so it reminds me of like the Bradley. It's like I'm sure that album went #1, and he's not alive. You know.
Well, and you can't tour on it.
Yeah.
You can't do radio spots. You can't do interviews on MTV because that would have been huge at the time. So
Wow.
to promote that record, it sold 5 million by the end of that year. I think I saw, and they couldn't promote it. Like they could, but you were just playing songs. It wasn't like they were going out on tour and recreating that so people could go and buy the record or, talking to the guys on MTV with Kurt Loder. It wasn't happening.
Jeez, that's so crazy, man. Yeah, and then like you said, like other iterations, they made like Long Beach Dub All Stars with like the other two guys, and now they're touring with this guy Rome. Yep, Sublime with Rome, and the drummer left too now, so now it's Josh Freese.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to bring that up. Josh Freese, who's in every band ever. So.
Yeah, session drummer.
Yeah.
So he's with Sublime with Rome now.
Yeah, so it's just one original member now. Bud.
Yeah, they came up with Long Beach Dub All Stars and started as Sublime with Rome, but they were billing themselves as Sublime, but Rome was the vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
And the family, Bradley Nowell's family, was like, no, you gotta change this. So they sued him, and they did. They ended up dropping or adding Rome, so that they could continue to be Sublime with Rome, and people knew the name. But they tried to go out as Sublime again, and Brad's wife was not having it.
I remember that. I think that was in 2009 as well, right? 2009.
It was, yep, 2009. Yep.
Yeah, because I was living in Florida at the time. And I remember seeing the banner. It was like, I think Cypress Hills Smokeout Fest was like the first date, something like that.
They were on that tour.
Yeah. So like it said, the original flyer said Sublime, and everyone was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, they're still here.
And then it changed to Sublime with Rome.
I've never really gotten into either. I mean, I remember having a couple like compilations with Long Beach Dub All Stars on it, and at the time not knowing any better. And I never. I mean, I listened to some of the songs that hit the radio with Sublime with Rome, but never got into them. I mean, I loved that self-titled Sublime record, though. I listened to it all the time.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, like, that is a genre-defining band. It's like reggae, it's rap, it's
punk, it's ska.
I never knew I didn't realize he died before it dropped. I had no idea.
Yeah, 2 months prior. Yep.
It's
crazy. Yeah. It's just to think like what could have been when they were kind of really hitting their stride, and they'd already put out 4 or 5 songs that were pretty big and iconic as far as that band went, but this was like other level for them, and to just have it halted in its tracks like that, which happens a lot in music. I mean, and he wasn't quite 27, he was 28, but just to have that happen, it happens a lot, unfortunately. But that was the one that kind of hit me. I was like, we haven't talked a lot about this genre, and we haven't talked about them at all, and I know we all had that CD. Like we grew up in that time. So
yeah, I have that album, have like a box set from that band, a ton of stuff. What's funny is there's a local artist management company right here in Encinitas, and talked to the guy once before, and he said, we were actually talking about Sublime. He said, they were a great band, but they weren't that great live, and part of it is because Brad was always wasted, whether it was on heroin or alcohol. They were big drinkers too. So I mean, I wonder if they had stuck around, if they maybe cleaned up a little bit and got their act together as a live unit and were able to kind of ride that success a little bit more, or would they continue doing the rock star thing and like crash and burning, when they they have all this, they have something to kind of live up to with that album being so amazing. But if they can't perform live, they might have come to a dead end there, kind of like a Scott Weiland with Stone Temple Pilots type thing, where it's like he was so fucked up that the band like canceled tours, and they released an album, or they were trying to promote an album at one point when Scott was in jail. Came out when he was in jail. Similar scenario that you were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Well, Nate, we saw that firsthand at that Weiland show in Portland.
Yeah.
You remember that? I mean, we can maybe get into that when we talk about STP down the road, because I'm sure we will. Because you and I have seen him. We saw STP together. Then we saw Weiland a couple years later with his band, but he was it just didn't look good. It wasn't good on stage. He obviously had done something before going out, and it's like just sad. That stuff's sad.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely get into that on a different episode for sure. It's sad, yeah, drugs and alcohol. You know, Brad, he would be here today if it wasn't for that.
Yep, along many others.
And they
So that was not to bring it all down. I mean, I could have gone with the Kid Rock one, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Sublime is they're touring off with Rome now, and I can't name. I don't know if they've even put out studio albums with him, but I couldn't name a single song. So the big draw is a back catalog from 25 years ago. So it just shows you like that was probably the tip of the iceberg of what they had in them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You wonder.
I didn't think
you
of
wonder
that.
with that, like Nate said, maybe they crash and burn, but he doesn't OD. Maybe they aren't as good. Maybe that was just that flash in the pan. You know, those couple of records were just a flash in the pan. So you never know. But that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I thought this is just it was, instead of bringing up like somebody like John Bonham dying from Led Zeppelin, the drummer, and not. It's not like he died when they didn't already have 8 albums out. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is an early on. It's slowed down the progress of probably a band on the way up, which that was what I thought was kind of interesting about it.